Well, I'm going to spend some time on the engine, and I'm going to do more rust treatment of the engine. Sound exciting. And then later... Well, we found a treasure trove of goodies when we opened up the V-berth. I know we showed you in a previous video how we found a Thornycroft engine box with lots of spares, but we also found lots of other things.
We just found a brand new, looks like it was never used, working jib sail. That's a jackpot.
What else we got down there? Looks like another sail.
It does look like another sail. It feels like another sail.
So we found a lot of neat stuff. We found this owl. I guess that's to keep away the birds, but we don't really want to keep away the birds. But I hear the birds poop on the deck a lot, so hey, maybe that's why it's called a poop deck. All kinds of junk, too, we found in here. These flippers don't look so good. What is this? Anybody know what this yellow thing is? Is it part of the anchor? It looks kind of a weird material. Been working on the rust on this engine, so I got a wire brush and I've been brushing it off that way and then vacuuming it up so the dust is off, and it's just hard to get a lot of these out of the way places. Wish I could take this engine out and really, clean this thing up. This was the condition of the engine before we started. Remember, it was all those rubbery bits from the V-belt that was getting shredded, so we started to clean it up. Got to be careful, use protection, because that is deadly lead. You don't want to be breathing in lead. This was the beginning of the engine, or the front of the engine after the initial. And then we sprayed some Rust-Oleum on it. Here's that piece that was also really bad. And we got to work on it and scraping it up. Oh boy, that looks bad, doesn't it? And we soon got it kind of rubbed down and
It'd be great to be able to take it out. That's actually just the joint between the oil filter and the engine. So we sprayed it after we treated it, and that will kind of temporarily kind of stop that rust process. Ideally, we could take this whole engine out and treat every piece and really get all the rust off down to the bare metal. But we did our best, and this will kind of just buy us some time.
You know, just get it smooth, and I'm going to spray this special heavy-duty Rust-Oleum. It's not going to fix it perfectly the way it would be if I took it out, but at least it'll stop a lot of the rust from developing until we can, you know, access the front part. The main area I'm concerned with this engine is, it looks like they put an air conditioning unit right in front of the engine. And interestingly enough, let me get a light on it. Here's an old AC unit. I don't even know if it works, but interestingly, this is the part of the engine that's got the most rust, which means there's water. And I think there's water coming from this air conditioner, basically, because the rest of the engine is nowhere near as bad as this rust. And the alternator itself looks, you know, there's a lot of rust around it in the front. So I'm trying to clean up as much as I can before we, you know, treat it. But I mean, there's rust in between, you know, in the pulleys, and you know, this is the rust after I've kind of done the brushing. The rest of the engine, there's not that much rust compared to that front part. This is the transmission back here. It's a British-made transmission called a Hearth transmission.
All right, so it's time to change the V-belt on the alternator. First thing we have to do is cut all the AC power, cut the DC power off, and also disconnect this battery charger from the batteries, and so we can start dealing with the alternator, because, you know, when you turn an alternator, it can produce electricity. You want to be careful.
Well, I like to show stuff instead of telling stuff. After all, this is a movie or a, you know, video image, not a book. So I don't really like talking heads. I like things to show me the story, not tell me the story.
Okay, so we disconnected all these wires. You know, you're only supposed to have like a few connections. This guy had 6, 7 connectors. Things were wired right to the battery, no fuses, no bus. And that's the alternator. I've just taken the belt off. Yeah, I learned how to unscrew and detach. But guess what? We can't get the V-belt off because there's another belt, which is the water pump belt, and there's no screw in the end. I did not know how to take this thing off, so I actually just sent an email to the Moody's owners group. Well, while we were working, we heard a knock on the boat, and it was one of our YouTube subscribers came to say hello, and that was a nice break. Gave me an excuse to stop working on this engine.
Hey everybody, my friend Brad from Intermittent Sailing, one of our friends that watches us, and I've watched, he's given me some good counsel the past year, a good man. Here's his son Jared. Came by as we're like wrestling with the alternator stuff. So it's good to actually finally meet him. Check out his channel, man. He's been sailing a lot longer than I have, and so sounds good, man.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, it was great.
So after that nice break, it was back down to the engine room. But then I noticed it looks like there was some like fuel leaking. This is a fuel line that comes in from the fuel tank, and it kind of goes to this little other rubber adapter hose. And it looks like where that joint meets, there was leaking fuel. Now I touched it, it was dry, so it was old, but that doesn't look like a very good attachment, does it? That's the fuel line coming in from the fuel tank. I don't know. There's something about that doesn't look right. Well, our through hulls finally were delivered. I ordered them from Defender Marine. I got a good price on them, actually. And the good news, as I mentioned earlier, was we only had to buy 4 3/4 inch Groco flanged through hull seacocks. this was kind of my first try at it. Not exactly machined, but hey, give it a try, right?